Hey Secrets Readers, this is Carlo Larasso, Senior Editor, and I'm here at RMAF in the ELAC room with Andrew Jones. And Andrew, having been in the room once already, everything sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
And so I know we were going to talk about the debut reference speakers that you're introducing here at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to ask you, in a number of interviews I've seen with you, and I've heard you talk in the past before.
There's lots of those.
There's lots of those, right? Right. You've kind of touched on, your history in speaker designing and sort of the technical aspects of measurements and things like that when it comes to speakers. But I've always been curious. I mean, do you have like a sort of a philosophy when you design speakers? Are there certain kind of things you look for, or targets, like absolute targets you have when you design a speaker that everything you work on has to hit?
Yes, design starts with the measurements because that's the quick way to an end point.
Right.
But you have to have an idea of what measurement you're going for, based on the characteristics of the drivers you're using or the technologies that you're using. You have an idea in your head of what you want to achieve from a sound point of view also, and that's based on the 40 odd years of doing all these speakers.
My long and established experience in speaker design. Yes.
And not just doing the design work, but going and listening in every possible environment around the world, doing the shows.
Right.
Some of these are almost into production, but this is my testing ground of, I come to the shows often with prototypes,
right.
And it's not so much to get feedback, although that can be useful, but it's to give me another opportunity of just day in, day out, all day long, listening to the speaker in a way that you might not be doing back in the lab. You'll have a listen for a while and go, but here it's 8 hours all the time listening, and you're standing around in different parts of the room and you're gauging people's reaction.
Yeah.
It's not that I design for somebody. I always design for myself.
Right.
And I design for the sound that's in my head of what I'm trying to achieve. And that's also governed by the fact of having done the super high end.
Right.
Well, not super high end, the way prices have gone. My high end was $80,000. I was never in the $250,000 range. But you get an idea through constant exposure of the kind of sound you want, and that informs you as you're doing even low cost that you want the essence of that, even though you won't get the particulars of that. And part of that sound is, I want voices to sound real in front of you and kind of focused in the soundstage. I also want the fullness and richness. And it's not kind of a feeling I'm artificially doctoring balance or something, but so many sounds, they are more something that you listen with your head rather than your heart. I know that's a cheesy way of saying it, but sometimes you sit down and you go, this just feels full and easy but detailed. That's what I try and do.
Sometimes I kind of term it as an alive sense, or like a life to some of the speakers I hear when I go to shows. I think that's the thing that kind of snaps to and gets my attention. I don't know if it's the same thing you're getting at, but that's kind of what I kind of gravitate to.
Right. Yeah. So, it's not always easy to achieve, but that's kind of where I head with what I'm trying to do.
Interesting. Cool. Now, you've been with ELAC for, how many years is it now?
Started in 2015. So 4.5 years. Okay.
Now, in those years, I've run into you at shows and stuff. I ran into you when you were still with TAD at first, and then you transitioned to ELAC. You guys have put together a vast array of products in that time. It's borderline nuts, but it's enviable, and all have been really really neat, interesting products. So I guess that transitions to any hint to kind of what's next, or where you guys go from here, or what's coming down the pike? I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting you to tell us stuff you can't tell us, but just kind of curious if there are hints of what people could look for in the future or something.
Well, we have started to move upwards in price points and not abandon the lower price points, aka this new debut reference. I really enjoyed doing the very affordable stuff. Because we all constantly complain about, we're all getting older, me included. One of the old fogies of
and there are still people on the
audio.
audiophile forums who love the affordable Pioneer stuff that you'd worked on in the past and stuff.
We found that there was just great demand for that, a price category that had been forgotten. It's not that there weren't speakers in that price point, but they weren't designed with any care because they were just placeholders.
Yeah, they're meant to hit a price target and that's it.
Yeah, and so the exciting thing was to be able to hit a price point and the quality level. And so when we started this side of the pond ELAC, it was, let's continue with that. And first of all, from a business point of view, it's much quicker to market to develop something like this. So it enables us to make an impact straight away. But it's been hugely popular. And I just love that. With TAD, selling $80,000 speakers, a few people buy them. And I know a lot of them. You become friends. But with this, it's accessible to so many people. But I don't feel I want to abandon doing high-end audio. I still want to do the kind of almost unobtainium, just because it's still exciting to do that, to put everything you can into
It's a mountain that needs to be climbed, basically.
Yes. But it still has to be supported by continuing to do this kind of stuff. And from a business point of view, we need to fill the gap and have products at all sorts of price points. So we have started nudging upwards in price points, with the active speaker at $2,000 and with a Dante. So we're getting there and combining more and more with the team in Germany to do stuff.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much for that. And I guess now to the main reason we're here is the introduction of the debut reference speakers. So can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes. So we started off ELAC back in 2015 with the debut speakers, and that was, as I said, a way to get very high performance at a good price. And I've often said what my priorities are of where I spend money, where I make compromises, because it's all about choices of what you can put in at a certain price point. And in fact, at any price point, really. Even if you're doing an $80,000 speaker, you're choosing how to spend your money because you still need to be more than competitive. It's not that at $80,000 you put everything in that's possible.
Although I've seen people try to do that.
and the fact that you've still got competition. You are price driven because someone else is going to do an $80,000 speaker. So you'll need to be better than that. And what you really want is your $80,000 speaker to sound better than someone's $200,000 speaker, right? So you're playing those games of how do you spend the money. Just as much there, really, as when you're doing an affordable one. But it's obviously at a different level. So debut reference. We launched debut. Last year we did debut 2.0. So upgrade it before anyone else can take our slot. And
beat them to the punch, basically.
Yes. But in terms of priorities, I put money into drivers and crossovers. And I've always said that the cabinet is not an afterthought, but it's where I save some money. So the cabinet isn't the most rigid cabinet. It's not the best looking speaker because it's a simple vinyl wrapped cabinet, vinyl front, and a trim ring.
This was the regular debut too, right?
Yes. So debut, and it's available everywhere. So debut reference was a chance to say, well, if I took that basic speaker, what can I do to make it better, both in terms of looks, actually spend some money on looks, but upgrade quality of a lot of the things in the speaker and take it up a notch, hopefully quite a notch in sound quality, hence reference. So we look at the cabinet first from a looks point of view. I don't say cosmetics, because it's drilled into me by Gina Harmon when I was with the Harmon Empire. Yeah. She came into a meeting one day and she says, "It is not cosmetics. Cosmetics is what you put on your face." It is industrial design.
There you go.
So the industrial design of this goes to a bonded-on front baffle. It's a satin painted finish with, let's say, a high-quality vinyl on the cabinet.
It does look very pretty. I mean,
yeah, this feels like stripped oak flooring.
At a distance, I thought it was maybe bamboo or something like that.
Right. And I know how good it looks because I'm looking to refloor my house. I've been looking at all the samples of vinyls.
I'm going to get some
flooring.
debut reference wrap and I'm going to put it on my floor. No.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 color combinations: satin white with the stripped oak, and satin black with a walnut. Kind of the color that these headboards are.
Right,
That looks really nice.
Yeah.
In terms of cabinet construction, it's a stronger cabinet construction. You know, the walls are not as thin. We've got full perimeter bracing inside. Essentially another baffle moved backwards halfway into the cabinet. So we've got full circumferential bracing. The tweeter is the same tweeter as Debut 2.0, but it's in a new waveguide, better optimized into the surface of the baffle, and also with a new grille. The wire mesh grille we had some small anomalies around 15K and above.
Right.
This just has none. I can't tell the difference between grill on and grill off, even off axis. And it looks nice.
Yeah.
There's a slight recess here. It shouldn't be there because this is my
It's a prototype.
Yep. The woofer is the same moving parts as the woofer in Debut 2.0. So same cone, surround, voice coil, magnet. Slight change in the spider, both to accommodate this new chassis, but also improve the base linearity at the bottom end. But it's built on a cast aluminum chassis.
Okay,
the other one was stamped steel.
It's not so yet.
Because if you knocked the cabinet of the original Debut,
you kind of got
talking about secrets of high fidelity.
Here's some secrets for you.
You could hear this little doing, doing, and that was the magnet bouncing on the chassis.
Right.
So that's been eliminated with the cast chassis, and also gives us a nice feature visually.
Very nice.
2.0 had the vent moved to the front.
Right.
Now I've gone to a slot vent, and it's a quite unusual shape. It's not just a shelf inside that ends halfway into the cabinet.
Right.
It's a fully curved.
Oh, okay. So there's a design to it. There's a
to reduce the chuffing, and it actually works quite nice. The chuffing it has is, every vent will eventually chuff, unless you've got a huge one, but the huge one doesn't fit in the cabinet.
Yeah.
So the chuffing is gentle, let's say, and then the final thing is the crossover. It was a 7-element crossover. Now I think it's about a 10-element crossover. Okay. I've just thrown a few more parts in. Still, the quality level of the components is still laminated steel inductors for the big ones at low frequencies, air cord for the higher frequencies, and film caps on the tweeter. It's still that, but I've added a few more components just to improve the integration and the overall linearity of the response. Okay. So price point has gone from $300 a pair, because it's the 6-inch version, up to $500 a pair.
So $500 a pair.
So, a modest increase, but there's a lot more speaker, basically, than you get with the 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, telling from the crowds that were in here over the last couple of days, I mean, a lot of people really liked what they were hearing, it seemed. Yeah. Personally, I thought they sounded fantastic. So.
And this room, you're always afraid when you start in a new venue. You bring the kitchen sink with you, just in case. And you wonder, well, where am I going to place the speakers? And I'm going to have to turn the room 90 degrees and go crossways, which is always difficult for traffic and seating, but often sounds better. So we got in here, we put the rack together, stuck it there, literally plonked the speakers down and started listening, going, this isn't bad. And a few inches of movement, and we go, yeah, I think we're done. Now, we do have room treatment, but that's not so much to really control the low end. It's to control the mids and highs.
And it's not a ton of room treatment. It's just, basic stuff.
Yeah. So what we did in terms of system this time, whenever I've shown Debut before, even when I launched, I was launching with a $3,500 of electronics. And then as soon as I coupled up with Peter, it went up to $4,550 speaker, which sounds ridiculous. Not that it sounded ridiculous, but the concept sounds ridiculous.
It's a little.
It was a way to show the quality level of these speakers can show just how good the electronics are that you've got, and gives you a different path to both putting a system together initially, but also in terms of how you upgrade. And my kind of dirty little secret was, the idea is you spend all the money on electronics, buy my affordable speakers, because that's all I have.
Yes.
By the time you're ready to upgrade, I brought out my next higher price point speaker, so you can upgrade to that. And you can just keep on upgrading with my speakers, so it means I've got continuous business. I thought it was a quite clever idea.
Master plan. Here we go.
But this time for a change, we thought we'd take our affordable, all-in-one integrated amplifier thingy and just do the most affordable system we've put together. Because Rocky Mountain has been making an emphasis in recent years of having affordable audio rooms. So we thought we'd just do ours under our control and show what can be done.
And lo and behold, you guys have something.
So this is our integrated amplifier. We've had it on the market for a couple of years, but it's kind of been a secret. We haven't done enough to promote it. But this is the latest version of it, so we thought we'd bring that here. So basically 80 watts per channel of Bosch amplification. So Bosch is a way of making a Class AB amplifier more efficient. Basically we modulate the supply rail so that there's only ever enough for the exact moment that you need it. And that way you reduce the dissipation, the wasted heat and power in the amplifier stage. So it's not as efficient as Class D, but it's close enough to be able to pack 2 times 80 watts into this chassis. So we've got an amplifier. Now we've added a DAC with up to 24192 capability. We've added DSP so that you can do room correction. So the room correction we had on our subwoofers is now also in the amplifier. So no matter what subwoofer you use, you could do room correction. Except it's a 2-channel amplifier. In a stereo system, how do you add a subwoofer? Because in a home theatre system, you cut the bass from going into the satellite so you don't overload it. But if you simply add a subwoofer in a stereo system, the system can't play any louder since you're still putting full range to the main speakers. So we put in a dedicated subwoofer out, plus selectable high-pass filters for the main channel.
There we go.
Now, the room EQ uses this process where we use the microphone in the phone. And to get around the fact that the microphone's not calibrated, we start by bringing the phone right up to the speaker and measuring it there, where it's not influenced by the room. Then we go to the listening position, measure again, and then we adjust the listening position response to match the near-field response. So now the microphone response drops out of that equation.
It becomes irrelevant,
Relevant. It also guarantees that the designed response of the speaker is the one you get at the listening location. If you just use an arbitrary room correction curve, suppose it's going down to 20 hertz and these speakers only go down to 50, let's say, then it's trying to boost it in the range it can't handle. Whereas this way it's saying, no, you'll just get what I designed to do. It also does that to the subwoofer, but then having measured those two curves, it will automatically blend the two together to give the flattest response.
There we go.
But since you're measuring in the near field, it doesn't account for difference in distance. So you then go out to the listening position, and it runs a series of curves where it keeps changing the phase of the subwoofer and making sure in that range
so like
it's flattened.
A second pass.
Second pass. And then after that, it does the EQ. So now you've EQ'd the subwoofer and the satellite. That's all built in here. But since we've got DSP, why not add in Dolby Digital decoding? So it's got
why not
2.1 decoding, so you can use it as a soundbar substitute, come optical out from your TV.
Very neat.
And the new one adds a Roon endpoint. It's a streaming amplifier. So it's got Roon, it's got Spotify Connect, Bluetooth, AirPlay, DNLA, pretty much everything.
That's a Swiss
all
Army
in one
knife
package
right
for $750.
That's great.
So this system, add a speaker cable, you got your music server on your computer, you've now got a system for $1,300.
It's a complete turnkey system, basically.
And because this is got low energy Bluetooth, it's all app controlled. So every function on there you can do from your phone. So if you want to hide that away and just run everything from your phone, you can do. And when you adjust volume in Roon, when you adjust a volume in Roon, it's directly adjusting this volume. They're slaved together. So it's quite neat.
Yeah, it's very elegant.
Yeah.
The way it's set up.
Yeah.
A quick question about the Room EQ. What's the upper limit that the Room EQ?
200 hertz.
200 hertz, so it doesn't go higher than 200 hertz. So
Correct.
you're not changing the voicing of the speakers per se.
Yeah.
You're just basically dealing with the bass modes in the room and
Yes.
integrating the
Yeah.
subwoofer.
Now, of course, with Room EQ, in a low-cost system where you don't have real freedom of placement, EQ of this form is okay. But from a philosophical point of view,
Right.
Ultimately, you need to do it a better way, let's say.
Right.
And there are systems that do it from a multi-channel perspective. Because it seems odd that, well, I've got a problem because the room, but I'm going to change the direct sound in order to fix the reflected sound. It kind of, you can argue that integration time with the brain so that they're kind of the same, but it's still, is that quite the best way to do it?
Right.
But sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, yeah, and in order to integrate everything together, it seems like a pretty slick solution.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. This has been great, and thanks again, readers, and enjoy the rest of Rocky Mountain Audio Fest.
All right, thank you.
You bet.